So breaking, skateboarding, sport climbing, and surfing are all now provisionally included in the sport program of Paris 2024.
There is a new Olympic sport. It's a bit of a flashback to the 80s, breakdancing.
Breakdancing will be the first dance sport to ever appear at the Olympics.
And finally, breakdancers could be competing for Olympic gold medals in the 2024 Summer Games in Paris.
Salute to the subscribers, those that live beyond the Cypher. I'm your host, Illskillz. If you're new to the channel, please hit the like and subscribe button. They cost you nothing. Also, keep the conversation going through the comment section, as this is an important topic in the community. Stop and chat, episode 1. One topic, one scene, many opinions, but intelligent conversation. So right now we have the breaking scene in an uproar. And one of the topics is the Paris 2024 Olympics and breaking's inclusion as a sport. So this brings up questions and concerns in the community, like, is breaking a sport? If so, then what does that mean? What does that look like? Is it black culture? Can it be claimed by everyone? Who has the say, right? So to answer these questions, I first reached out to my local AZ community for answers and perspectives. And then what I got was interesting. We sat down with Bboy Panic of the Outcrowd crew, Arizona's #1 break DJ, Bboy Geo, a pioneer of the Arizona abstract movement, and Bboy House of Furious Styles crew, who's been integral in keeping the Arizona b-boy scene alive for the last 25 plus years. Now, to officially get this thing going, I must say, the views and opinions of our guest.
Yes. What up, y'all? This is Bboy House, representing Furious Styles crew, MTK Lifestyles, Break Life, Chicago's Most Wanted, and then some. Coming out of Phoenix, Arizona. We here. Shout outs to Illskillz.
All right, well, my name is Geo. What's good, y'all? This is Panic, representing Outcrowd crew, breaking for 21 years, DJing for 11.
Well, that's my b-boy name. My actual name is Johnny.
Head instructor for Break Free Arizona for the DJ program.
I've been in some major crews, most of them stemming out of Arizona. When I say major, we're major because we were, the primary turning points for what you would see for for some of the more hardcore tricks or the hardcore mentality of b-boying today.
All the conversations that's going on, please be intelligent. Hip is the knowledge. Hop is the movement. Intelligent movement. We have an intelligent movement on our hands, people. So let's use it together.
Crews like Circus Runaways, Sour Patch, and then the crew that I started, Sick on the Monkey Bars.
Yes.
Well, I see breaking as a part of black culture, and I also see black culture as being a part of breaking.
Yes. That's an easy yes. It's where
it's this whole that constant narrative of like, oh well, there were Puerto Ricans there and there were Cubans there and there were other ethnicities there. It's like, yeah, but I always say the best alliteration I can do it is like, so I could go and then learn like Muay Thai, or I could go and learn like Kung Fu, or I could go and learn like a specific form of martial art and then be a part of that culture. But I could never claim ownership of said culture because it's not my culture.
No, so that's why I said earlier that it's part of black culture, and black culture is also part of it, right? But see, karate is fighting, right? It's a broken down form of fighting. It is part of Japanese culture, but the Japanese are also part of the culture of fighting, which, fighting is a bigger culture than Japan.
That's the whole debate, or the whole topic came up about that, as far as people being guests, but it's definitely black culture, and obviously it was also had influences from what seems like Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, a lot of other a lot of other folks, but I mean, when we're talking about the music, when we're talking about who's the godfather of this, it's James Brown. When we're talking about the funk, when we're talking about the soul, that's all black music, you know. And not to say, again, not to take anything away from anybody else or any other cultures that contributed to it and have helped raised it, and you know, and paid rent at the spot that it's at, or whatever the case might be. But I mean, it's definitely it's black culture, man, and it's you know, it's hands down.
When people ask themselves like, oh, is it part of black culture, Latino culture, or white culture? Honestly, their mind is going in the wrong direction. That doesn't really. I can understand how it has to do with the roots of it, but it's not the point of it. Anybody who puts effort into the dance or any of the elements and practices and works hard and is peaceful with the people, you know, that are involved in that culture is contributing, and really that's all they can contribute because they were only alive to do that, you know. But it would also be you know, it would also be a lie on their part to say something crazy like, oh, white people invented hip hop.
Damn, that's a good question. That is a really good question. I think.
I mean, I think the quick answer to that is, I mean, so has it been represented within us up to this point? I feel like once you really get into it, yes, it's there. We're not. I think we could do a better job as when newcomers are coming in. You know, folks that are new, we could do a better job at representing those things.
So at least within the level of the Olympics, I think it'll be representative of black culture in the same way that Red Bull does BC1, and that the others in the same sense of like, it's breaking, and yes, it's like, it's showing our culture, and it's showing like our like form and our passion in this. But
I guess to me it would depend on the time frame, you know, that we're talking about as far as like how it's represented in the future. You know, the Olympics. This is probably. I think that this question really uncovers part of the negative aspect that some people are worried about in the culture.
But I think we can do a better job as far as, you know, whether it's as organizers or as teachers or as mentors or just, you know, bringing somebody new into the community. I think we can do a better job at it. As a matter of fact, right now, I've been rocking with the United Hip Hop Vanguard, which we're gonna model something for Arizona as well. Arizona started to do Arizona Hip Hop Alliance as well. But with the Vanguard, that's one of the things. One of the main headliner things is to promote and to uplift and uphold like black culture. Specifically, it started with the intention specifically of breaking.
I definitely think it's going to take away some things, and I definitely think it's going to add some things.
Like, I would hope that it was like the joke Fresco made, the whole like, I just wish someone would say to hell with the ad revenue and just throw on a classic break during one of these huge, like, vastly streamed jams, and just throw it in and let them vibe, and like let them actually go off to that record instead of like a quantized beat.
You know, and that, you know, the Olympics is going to continue to tell their story through, you know, widespread media in the future. You know, they could say, you know, if it was 100 years from now, you know, and that question would be, you know, that question would be, you know, yeah, there would be some groups lost.
And so, like, one of the topics in there is music in general, and you know, we're going to use Red Bull as an example, which is a whole other conversation as well. But that, you know, what I've been telling people lately is, like, if you walk into some of these events and you walked out of there, you could easily walk away there not knowing that it was black culture, or that there was any brown people involved in this whatsoever. I mean, if you go in there and you listen to the music and it's these loop beats, and I get it, it's the copyrights, we understand all that stuff. but you still have to make it. You know, one of the suggestions that got thrown around like in the Hip Hop Vanguard is cool. Well, let's have a 30-minute Cypher at your Red Bull event where you turn off the cameras and we don't have to worry about the copyrights, and you play this funk and soul music. You play, you know, the hip hop music. That way people that are either even as spectators, they go, oh wait, what's this?
But to circle back to the initial question, I think it all depends on who is put in charge of representation as far as judging, as far as DJing, as far as hosting. Like, who is selected for this would more or less answer that question, because they themselves are either going to be themselves black individuals, although I think as far as like the breaking Illuminati goes, the only real like black ones at the top are like Renegade from the UK and like
so I think it's better to preserve it any way it can be preserved, as long as b-boys continue to teach and hand down, you know, the real message of hip hop and the real beginning of it, you know, and the more professional they become, you know, as we see, you know, through like handbooks or storybooks, or like, let's say b-boy becomes part of an education system, and maybe even becomes part of social studies, you know, where they say this is what was happening at this culture in this time, and then was a big boom, you know, and you know, that would be more helpful in preserving it, you know, than what we see going on now.
But Ness is Puerto Rican, isn't he? I thought Ness is either black or Puerto Rican, but either way, so that's another. Because
you know, I know you know this as well too. A lot of times, you know, when people would come to events, they'd be like, "Oh wow, we just thought you guys would dance to rap music and that's it." Like they don't even realize. I'm like, nah, this you know, rap is now, but yo, this is funk, this is soul, this is rock. I mean, this is all these other things. So I definitely think we can do a better job in those kind of manners, just in the music alone. You know, somebody should be, my goal as an organizer is that if you come to one of my events, that when you walk out of there, you know that there's a black and brown bodies behind this movement, behind this culture.
But yeah, it's just gonna all be dependent on who's put in these spaces, because like we all understand that there is, like, within the greater schemes of the culture, within the promotion aspect as well as the competition aspect, there is an Illuminati in place. Like every, like, whether people want to admit it or not, there's a greater Illuminati, and even in local cultures, there's an Illuminati, and I know that because I will participate in said Illuminati because it gets things done and it helps build the culture.
That way, when you're a newcomer, you understand, you get it. Like, oh wow, okay, this comes from black and brown people. I mean, it's otherwise you might have no idea. It sounds like electronic music, or if the announcer's, you know, a celebrity, or the, you know, and it's we're glad that we're mixed up. But you know, you could have a panel and it could be all Europeans and the white looking folks. You know? So you know, I think we can do a better job at it. For sure, I think we, you know, it's ingrained and unsaid once you're really into it and you've been into it for a while. But we can do some things differently for sure.
It's going to depend on those individuals. It's going to depend on those individuals as far as representation for us, and how they will execute said representation for us. Because at this point, like, it's in their hands. Like, all of us that are, I guess, lower level or not so much like culturally relevant or haven't been seen or haven't been in those meetings, like, we can harp all we want on the computer, but it's not going to change the fact that this is the train we're on. Respect it. I would hope that they would do right by us.
Yeah, I think it's necessary because it's getting so big and because there's so many people involved, and it's easy unintentionally to just wash things away. You know, even when I teach my classes at the university, you know, I in the beginning I'm like, look, we're gonna dance to this original stuff. To you guys, is this ancient music that, and a lot of them are like, wow, I had no idea. I would never have connected any of this music to any hip hop stuff. But I'm like, we're gonna we're gonna learn to this stuff so you understand the feeling of what they were dancing to and why they were moving the way they were moving, and then we can flip it to whatever you want. Then you can, you know, if you can rock to a Kanye, cool, rock to a Kanye, you know. But you know, you want to at least let them get that in, plant that seed in their head, like, okay, I understand that there's more to this than just right now, and you know, these hyper beats.
Let's define what hip hop culture is. How would you define it? What's your definition of hip hop culture?
What it is now,
right?
And it has a real commercial kind of a definition now.
Right, right.
What it was for me always was the music and the dancers, and eventually later on the rappers. And that's what it always has been for me, and that's what I still continue to define it as.
The history of hip hop, where would it start from?
Well, you can't have the history of hip hop with first of all talking about the gang culture, the black space. So while the genesis of hip hop, and I know people aren't gonna like it, is Kool Herc, and the people can say whatever they want. He would not have been possible without the electricity that was created by the culture that was existing in the 1970s, early part of the 70s, and that very specifically is gang culture, and more specifically starting with the black stage.
I just had, you know what I'm saying, a spade telling me they was doing a spade dance, and
oh yeah,
he felt like that's where breakdancing kind of came from.
Yeah, yeah. And so the spade dance is one of the areas where it started. Then you had people used to do what's known as burning. Okay? Burning. Yeah, which is the precursor to breakdancing.
Okay.
Now you gotta remember, all art forms take from various other art forms.
Right.
And you know, and so burning was like a thing which would be maybe the precursor to uprocking. And so somebody's dancing, and you know you're doing your thing, and you might turn and embarrass somebody, like you take your square, you screw their head off and pretend you're kicking it down the hall,
right,
or something like that.
Right,
or you know, you put your hand in somebody's face and drop back, you know, and that's burning. And that was breaking in its own way. But the breakdance, as you know today, right, when cats were going to the floor, that's when you had the original B-boys, such as the twins, the nigga twins, Kevin and Ken. Clark Kent, I can't remember Clark Kent's real name. But Clark Kent was Clark Kent because he looked like Clark Kent. He used to wear horn rim glasses. Yeah, he used to wear horn rim glasses. Bad boy on the dance floor. James Bond used to do things, he'd be spinning, then he'd run around and take off his shoe like he was down on a phone call, like Get Smart. Things like when you saw the cats spin on the floor, that's the twins, Clark Kent, then myself, you know, the Zulu Kings, the original Zulu Kings, like Five, Scorpion Med, Aziz, you know, Zambu, Kusa. The first people I saw really doing it, getting down like that with spin, was the twins and Clark Kent.
Is there a relationship between burning and spade dance?
I would say yeah.
Yeah?
I would say yeah. I would say they were.
Spade dance was first though, right? Because they told me they were doing that
I would
in
say
the 60s, the beginning of the spade.
Late 60s, early 70s, yeah.
Right.
I would definitely say that that's the case. When a baby's born, the baby don't look nothing like what it looks like when it's grown.
Right.
But that don't change the fact that that's who it was when it was a baby.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Even the Latino gangs, and now the Latino gangs, here's what I would them. And this means say rock steady and everything.
Right.
When we had stopped b-boying,
right,
they continued.
When Sugar Hill Gang came out, you were still breakdancing at that time?
No.
Stopped.
No, we had pretty much stopped by then. But the Latino kids was.
The Rocksteady crew.
But the Latino cats, they kept it up. That's when they're doing that up rock and going down. You see them old pictures of them. They're doing. I can't even do the shit that they do. They was doing something and bending down and and all this craziness they were doing. But they kept that spark of b-boying and breakdancing alive when we had kind of just outgrown it. And like I said, who knows? We didn't know it was going to be a worldwide phenomenon. Right. Probably if it was, we would have been the ones in the videos doing all that stuff. But you know, sometimes it's just about being in the right place at the right time. It ain't got nothing to do with anything else. And for Rocksteady, they didn't invent nothing. They were just in the right place at the right time, and they picked up where we left off. And that's as simple as that. When I talk about it, I don't have nothing to gain out of it, man. I have a master's degree. I teach. That's my world. I ain't trying to get a record deal. I don't give a shit about none of that.
For more quality content from Beyond the Cypher with Illskillz, don't forget to press the like and subscribe buttons. Let us know how we're doing down in the comment section, and to make sure that you don't miss anything from the channel, smash that notification bell. We appreciate the love and support. Peace until the next episode.